Welcome to the new RiverCityGamers Podcast, hosted by SCXCR and Well Unreal 007, as well as many other members from the RiverCityGamers website. Stay tuned for all the gaming news, new pickups, and everything else we feel like talking about on the RiverCityGamers Podcast.
Hello, welcome to the STX.
And I'm Wiz War 100.
And I am Matt.
You were saying Unreal?
What?
Okay, we're getting cut off.
Gaming news, so real.
So, quite a bit has happened since the last podcast. I guess the biggest one would be Konami burning every bridge they possibly could on the way out with the whole Silent Hills PT thing.
You know, I thought Konami would be one of the companies that would last the longest. It wouldn't drop to being on just mobile. That was just kind of somewhat sad and depressing.
Yep, their president said that they're going to focus all their efforts on mobile games from now on.
Because it's the future, apparently.
Of casual.
Hey,
of
remember
casual
when motion
gamers?
Controls were the future?
I forget that.
Even
Oh,
Konami said that. I'm not making this up.
you know, I could accept Sega dropping to there because of, you know, all the decisions they made, but Konami? I didn't really think they would.
So, to recap, because last time we did this podcast, it was a discussion about, is Silent Hills canceled? It is canceled. And not only is it canceled, but PT, the playable teaser, got pulled. And people who have PT, if they got it and then deleted it, they can't download it again.
And you cannot use the PS4 share play option with it anymore. And if it's still on your hard drive and downloaded, there's a chance that your entire PS4 downloadable library won't work anymore.
There you go.
That's fucked up.
And that might include me, a guy who still has PT downloaded on his PS4.
I have a friend who also still has PT on his PS4.
PS4 is going to be haunted. Nothing works.
I'm just waiting for the class action lawsuit. That's all I can say.
Or just the fact that even if you have it downloaded, it just gets wiped mysteriously from your PS4.
From an update?
Yeah, they'll probably just throw an update out and just say, oh, we'll fix stuff. And by fix, we mean completely disable it from being playable.
Also, if you have this on your hard drive, then you know what? We're not letting you do anything with your system until you get rid of it, because we don't want acknowledgement of it so that it becomes a legend.
No, it'll just render your hard drive useless, even once it's gone.
Oh,
Because they hate you that much. Next thing you know, they'll take down YouTube videos, which... Okay,
relevant.
YouTube user Super Bunny Hop had this whole thing about Konami and stuff. It was just a general discussion about the whole PT and Konami situation. Konami took it down, and the best part is about 11 hours later, YouTube put it back up. YouTube pretty much reinstated the video because apparently the claim by Konami was missing required information.
Yes, YouTube, the place
YouTube
that frequently
stepped
gets
in.
it wrong with these kinds of things.
Think
So
about
they
it.
actually-
YouTube stepping in.
So they
say,
actually
"Tell
did
Konami,
something."
stop."
Yes.
So basically, Konami did so much wrong that even YouTube's like, "Fuck you guys doing?"
Speaking
No,
of
no,
people
it's
who looked at Konami and said, what the fuck are you guys doing? Koji Igarashi.
AKA
Yeah.
the guy that got thrown into a literal dungeon before Lords of Shadow was a thing.
The guy that Konami told, look, your games aren't popular or profitable anymore, so don't bother making them. Well, he's gone independent, and he launched a Kickstarter for such a game called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
And
Oh,
it met
yes.
its goal in 4 hours.
Met its goal in 4 hours, the $500,000 goal it met in 4 hours, and it is still going. It is over $2 million as of the recording of this podcast.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, how high is it right now? And yeah, bam, 2 million.
The exact number is $2,047,259, and that's just refreshed like a few seconds ago.
So, Konami, if you don't know how to count, that's a lot of money.
Keep in mind, they don't care anymore. They honestly do not care. In
I
fact,
know.
but they might care enough to take this podcast down just because we mentioned them. It's like Shining Force all
Oh,
over.
I hope they try.
I was gonna say, is this gonna be like the same thing with Sega and the Shining Force series? Even if we just mention the word, I mean, then it's just gonna be like,
What happened? Like it's you just abruptly stopped, and I thought my connection died.
Yep. And speaking of
okay,
game
moving
companies
on.
eating shit, there's also the matter of a rare revival. Because since the last
Revival?
podcast, we also saw the Kickstarter launch for Yooka-Laylee, which is kind of a successor to the people who made the Banjo-Kazooie games.
Ah, that.
They had their pledge goal of 175,000 British pounds, which very quickly got met, and it's currently sitting at 1,601,279 pounds, or, for the conversion's sake, almost $2.5 million.
Nice.
That's a lot of money.
It pretty much met all of its stretch goals.
Yeah, there's just one more.
I gotta say, I'm kind of glad this is gonna happen too, because I do like Banjo-Kazooie, and I did like Donkey Kong 64, so it's nice to see a game like this get made once again.
There's more insanity that's happened in the gaming world aside from Konami-related shit.
Of course.
Something always seems to happen shortly after we put up one of the podcasts. And in that case, there was that whole Steam paying for mods thing.
Yeah, that whole Skyrim thing.
Yeah.
Oh, do elaborate.
A while ago, Valve made this decision it was supposed to be like a groundbreaking initiative sort of thing that modders could get paid for their work by having it available for purchase through Steam's Workshop, and the modding community lost its shit. To the point that said Workshop stopped doing that whole purchasing thing in 4 days.
So they just lost it. But I can kind of see one side of it, but on the other side, I think I'm probably with the crowd.
Yeah, the other side is pretty much anyone can take like put garbage out and ask money for it, or in another case,
Legit good mods.
no, like the other case is like you can actually, like you were able to take other people's mods and sell it as your own on that thing.
Okay, yeah,
That was a really bad thing that happened with the whole Steam paid mods thing. Because I did like see a video on it and I did not know that part. And I'm like, oh my god, that is terrible.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. That is pretty true.
Then you also get into the gray area where like there's mods that depend on other mods for certain parts of it to function, and it just becomes a mess.
In other words, it's the mod of someone else's mod that works alongside your mod. So you're also using someone else's mod.
There were systems in place that allowed people to get paid optionally. Like there are some
A
mod
donate
sites where
button.
there's like a tip
Yeah.
jar kind of thing, where you don't have to pay, but if you want to, you can.
And want to support the people who do the stuff. Yeah, that's usually a good idea.
I have no clever segue for this one, so let's talk about the Ouya.
Oh yeah, is it still there?
Technically.
That was a thing.
Yeah. Angel Halo wouldn't stop mentioning it.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not on this podcast right now.
Thank God he's not. You know how long he would talk about that?
I can imagine so.
Actually,
And
he bought an Ouya and then he returned it.
And apparently that employee that he got it from or something was like, that didn't take long.
He's like, yeah, I don't blame you. But the story here is that Ouya is up for sale.
Like the company.
Yeah, they're looking for investors, and the reason they're looking for investors is to try and make up some of their crippling debt.
I wonder why.
Thank you for believing.
I have nothing to say on that, other than, oops.
Should have had the Kool-Aid Man jump out and say, "Oh noes!"
This might be the last time that we ever do a news story about the Ouya, so how about a moment
Don't
of silence
say
for
that.
what could have been?
Do not say that, because imagine like 3 podcasts from now, it just somehow comes up again, and it'll be an even dumber news story than before.
It just gets dumber and dumber as it goes on. as
Konami
things get
buys
changed.
Ouya.
Oh,
Yep.
jeez.
It'll probably go down as being
Oh.
another addition to the worst consoles of all time.
Oh my god. Konami buys Ouya and tries to make it its own mobile device to distribute its games on.
Exclusive FGS games only for the Ouya now.
And then Kojima
And in order to
leaves.
play them, you have to get a code to download it, which you can only get by buying the Metal Gear clothing line. Let's get on to a happier topic.
Indeed.
And this has to do with Nintendo. In fact, it has not just Nintendo, because we thought it was weird that they were branching out and doing the mobile thing with Dina. Well, they're doing something else now, and it involves Universal Sludios.
Oh,
Studios.
wait.
My favorite company of theme parks.
I was gonna. It's that thing now. It's the theme park.
Yep. Universal Studios announced that they're working with Nintendo to bring Nintendo-themed attractions to its parks.
So in other words, a real-life Nintendo Land.
Mario Kart.
Did they explain what exactly will be in it? I mean,
They
probably
haven't
not
said
yet.
specifically what sort of attractions would be in. They just said that it's going to be based on like wildly popular games, characters, and worlds.
If you know
Yep.
what there should be,
Yoshi
An
merry-go-round.
F-Zero ride, which has a mortality rate of at least 50%.
I was about to say an F-Zero roller coaster
Ah, there we go. Oh, and
with a mortality rate of 10,000.
They gotta do something with Star Fox, too.
course!
and level 7 of GX.
I would for Star Fox. Okay, we all went to Palladium at Anime North and stuff, but
The first year
that
was
you know
awesome.
that gyro thing that was like in the corner that we couldn't go on because it wasn't in our like card plan that we purchased.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the simulation
What if there was
thing?
something? What if Star Fox had something like that, but a little more in depth? Kind of like a virtual reality, like, you know,
Well,
flying sim thing.
you remember Star Fox Assault was actually supposed to be an arcade game? They could have done something with that.
Yeah, considering Universal has all those kind of rides anyway, that'd be the perfect fit.
I just realized something. Aside from like attractions and stuff for a theme park, some theme parks have arcades, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I went to like Universal in Florida, I believe, years ago, and there was an arcade. I got to play Time Crisis and other stuff there. Does this mean we're getting more cabinets of F-Zero AX?
One can
Oh.
only hope.
Oh my
That-
god!
That would give a chance to like play it. But even though
Yeah,
like,
implying we
isn't
can actually afford to go to fucking Universal Studios.
as opposed to Japan. But wait, wasn't AX like the same like GX except the AX is in an arcade?
Pretty much. It's pretty much my dying dream to get on one of those fucking arcade machines.
Only to get pissed off later in it.
No, I just wanna play the thing.
I still want to play it, but still gonna have that moment. But
Well-
maybe it won't be as bad.
I'm just wondering, like, I'm pretty sure this might be a Japan-only thing, because there is Universal Studios Japan. But if there is an American, like, Nintendo thing, that'd be really interesting, because Japan gets stuff like Biohazard, like, attraction for Resident Evil over there.
Oh, I
Monster
saw
Could
Hunter
you
that.
imagine if they did one of those at Universal Studios for Metroid?
Ooh! Does that mean we're gonna have to, like, kill ourselves trying to go into Morph Ball?
Yes.
Oh, the
jeez.
final boss. I still haven't done run.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my god! I just had a dumb idea for the morph ball thing. You know those giant inflatable balls that people can like ride inside,
Oh.
you know, down in New Zealand and stuff? That's the morph ball one. Just ride in one of those and run people over.
You know what would be an interesting attraction?
Oh, wait, hang on. And there would be like morph ball bombs that act like pumps that blast you up into the air.
Oh my god, that might actually be sick.
Crazy.
I'm just imagining this. Just run people over down a hill with a giant morph ball like they do in New Zealand.
Or it's like what was it? It was like bumper cars with morph balls.
You realize
Or
we just described a bunch of attractions that would have a higher death rate than Itchy and Scratchy Land.
Yeah.
Well,
You know-
that's why we either tone it down or try to match up to the F-Zero mortality rate, because that's as good as it should be.
Anyway.
There's obviously might be like Mario Kart stuff, like
Yeah.
that's like simple
Nope.
go kart. That's whatever. What would Zelda do? Would there be like bow and arrow challenges that would increase the mortality rate if people just aimed left or right?
Archery, maybe like a medieval, like kind of like a swordsman thing that like
Yeah.
people can join in.
Or
Oh.
yeah, kind of like an American Gladiators type of thing where you get knocked off the platform. Maybe.
That'd be kind of cool.
They could also do like a show thing too. Like you know how Six Flags like to do little shows with Batman or whatever. They could probably do something like that with Zelda.
Or the Waterworld attraction. I'm thinking, like, what would regular Mario Brothers be? Say an obstacle course or something similar to that, like a kids like area thing.
I'm trying to think. I know what I have in mind. It's like you know what they did. You know what they did with that Assassin's Creed like course where it's like you kind of go through it but make it more Mario and you jump on stuff.
You know what's funny? I actually find it amusing. Like during like when they were talking about the Assassin's Creed obstacle course, freaking Azim, the Black Megaforce Ranger, was excited to go on that, and I'm like, oh, of course.
Nice.
Because apparently he does parkour, and I mean, yeah, the Assassin's Creed thing is, as far as I know, is basically like a Ninja Warrior thing. But I don't know what game franchise would work with that.
Because if you did it with Mario, you just like like let's say you go through World 1-1 and you just gotta jump over stuff, but nothing lethal.
Well, of course. I mean, the most lethal thing would be just like those foam squares that you would see in something like MXC. We need MXC, freaking Nintendo thing for this thing. Oh man, there's a lot of potential for this. I mean, we obviously don't know too much about it.
Probably
But
giving it too much credit.
yeah, it could be super lame or it could actually be pretty cool. I just wonder if it's gonna be like, cross-continental and stuff. It'd be like not just
Right.
Japan only. Like maybe even Europe can get one. Does Europe even have Universal Studios?
I don't know. But speaking of things that could either be really lame or really cool, Nintendo made an announcement recently about something they're bringing back after 25 years.
Let's see.
Oh, this is
I
fun.
feel like I should know this.
The Nintendo World Championships.
God damn it! Yes, I did.
Now, for those of you who know
Young.
anything about the previous Nintendo World Championships, as a result of making it to be a finalist for one of these things, you received a special cartridge that had Super Mario Bros., Tetris, and Rad Racer, like custom snippets of those Nintendo games on it. The last time one of them hit eBay, it sold for almost $100,000.
Because it's rare.
It's
Yeah.
super rare.
At least for the legit card of it. There are the reproduction cards too.
Yeah, there are reproductions too. Anyway,
Yeah.
they're going to have regional competitions to help determine finalists using Best Buy stores. And then that's going to lead up to the Nintendo World Championships, which are happening, I believe, the week before E3?
No, it's actually happening right before E3. It's going to be happening on, let me look. They said Sunday, June 14th, and then E3 would start Monday and Tuesday and stuff. That's
So they're hosting some of these events at Best Buys that will lead up to that.
The
Yes.
regional qualifiers, yeah.
Is this the same as their planned Mario Maker thing, or no?
I have no idea.
I don't think it is. But here's one thing that I've been wondering about with this whole thing. What would be the games to be represented? Like, how many games did they play for a World Championship? Like 3?
3.
It was like Mario,
3.
Rad Racer, and Tetris.
Just 3.
So, if they did 3 again, like just 3, what would they be?
Well, I think one of the Marios would be a given.
Yeah, that's 'cause
And
you gotta have
maybe
some
via
of-
Mario Maker to advertise it.
And then like the other 2 games would be something a little more obscure or like not as well known.
They could do Splatoon for one of them because it's one of the more recent ones, and they've been advertising it actually. So they'd probably get more advertisement out, even though the game's already out by then.
Haven't played the demo, by the way.
Well, you actually have another chance, but none of us will be able to play it because we'll be at Anime North.
Well, they could just go like super strict Nintendo with this and do a Mario game, Smash Brothers, and Mario Kart 8.
But there was another thing I thought. They have, like, whatever for the first two, but the last one, what if the last one is a super secret unannounced game, just like The Wizard?
I was gonna say, are you gonna go with The Wizard here?
I can, because fucking Fred Savage actually was wondering where the Nintendo World Championships this year was gonna take place. Lo and behold, E3's in California.
California.
So Fred Savage might actually be at the Nintendo World Championships. Maybe. Because he was asking about, okay, where is this and how do I get it?
That's awesome.
But, okay, I was just, like, looking around on some threads about this. There was one thread apparently on NeoGAF or something where, this guy brought up, if they did a new Nintendo World Championships. And this post happened hours before the actual announcement happened. So people were freaking out that this guy knew stuff. Especially since the post said something about new F-Zero game. Could it possibly be? Could they possibly reveal a new F-Zero during these championships?
Oh, wait, what if they put that F-Zero in the Nintendo World Championship?
That's what I mean. What if the last game is a new F-Zero?
Wait, you can replace the Rad Racer part with F-Zero. Then that would kind of work.
Well, I think it would only work if it was the last one. Because remember, during The Wizard, the last game was, like, even in the movie, like, Super Mario Bros. 3 back then was not revealed until that fucking movie came out. They could do the same thing. I mean, I have my hopes low for it being F-Zero or, if anything, a new game. But can you imagine if they did that? We have to find out next month, and I'm just kind of really waiting for E3 to happen.
Get on the hype train.
Pretty much.
Wait every day.
I do have one thing I really want out of the Nintendo World Championships, though. They need that exact Mario suit that was dancing in fucking Reggie's Dream, or else it's a fucking no-show. Another thing I want to add, I think this might have actually happened aside from people saying there should be another Nintendo World Championship thing. I think they saw how successful Smash Fest was and like the whole tournament thing from last year's E3 and said, we gotta do something like this again. And then there you go. So I hope this thing's successful again, because they may continuously do it either every year or every other year. Who knows?
Alright, well, I think that's a good note to bring gaming news to a close on. So, let's move from that into upcoming releases. And this is one that's primarily for next-gen people, but Witcher 3, Wild Hunt.
Did not play 1 or 2. Not that I didn't want to, but
I'm starting to get into 2. I've liked what I've played so far. Granted, it runs like shit on my PC, but at least it runs.
yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, you know, I would like to give the Witcher games a try, too. It seems kind of interesting in the way that it's taking its adventures.
Here's one that I don't know if there's any hype for, but there's a console version, a special edition of Elder Scrolls Online.
Next! Yep.
Move it. Move it, drop it.
Huh.
Does anyone still play that anyways? Like, I know, I probably yes, but, you know, not as much as they would like.
I think people are playing Destiny more than Elder Scrolls Online.
Honestly, an MMO kind of kills the point of the whole franchise anyway.
No, it had a good
Especially if it
idea.
really doesn't even play like Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Moving on. Not a whole lot for 3DS. I guess I might as well mention Puzzles and Dragons and Puzzles and Dragons Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, yes, that.
There's apparently a demo out for it.
That is true. Could have looked at that.
And the last one I'm going to mention, and there's actually going to be another test fire for this coming up, Splatoon.
Is the test fire on the 23rd?
I think so.
Well, we'll be gone. Sorry.
Yep.
Anyone else who isn't going on Anime North will probably be able to play it. I got to play it at least twice, and I did actually record some footage for the hell of it for one of them, so...
Well,
I'll say I pre-ordered the game. I think that
well,
was
I
the
might
defining
be.
factor.
Well, I might be able to play it, being that I'm not going to be staying at North, but I'll be there.
Well, all I know is it's a single day, and it's going to be a single hour, just like the other ones, as far as I know. So, it depends on what time they're actually going to do it.
That is true.
It could be at a time where you're there or at home. If anything, since I actually got to try the game out, it convinced me to pre-order it. I just don't know if I'd be able to pay it in full after the con and stuff. But we'll have to see. Because the day Splatoon comes out is the same day Amiibo Hell happens.
Oh, yes.
I will be there at fucking Ground Zero picking up a couple of them. I have some pre-ordered, and I'm gonna be... Oh, man. I'm gonna lose sleep.
Oh, I'm kind of glad I didn't really get into the amoeba thing, because I knew this was gonna be one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, all because they don't know how stocks work.
Or how GameCube adapters should work.
All I just know is shit's gonna be exploding during E3. It's gonna really explode if F-Zero is real.
No, let's leave that behind us now and move forward to recent pickups. So let's just hear about one or two games that you've been playing recently. Give your thoughts on it. Nightman, you go first.
Ha!
Alright. So, both games I've been playing or started playing recently are basically stuff from our good friends at Capcom. Resident Evil Revelations 2. One thing I gotta say, it's what Resident Evil 6 should have been. And another is something that appeared on PSN recently, and it's a game that's a pretty rare find. The Immense Adventures of Tronbon. I gotta
So
say,
either you pay $300 physically or $6 digitally.
Of course I went $6 digitally.
So how is that?
It's,
Is it similar to Mega Man Legends gameplay-wise, or is it something different?
it has similarities to Legends, but it also has some of its own stuff too. Like you can command Tron's little I forgot those little robot things.
Serbots.
Yeah, you can control Tron's Servbots and go into like houses and shit and steal like money and crap and all that. So yeah, it's a mixture of different stuff and what was already in Legends. And I think I'm just about done right here.
Or at least for 2 games, anyways.
Yeah.
Alright, Unreal.
The most recent stuff I played was actually 3, but I'm gonna opt out Assassin's Creed 4 because in terms of like the stuff I played 2 other games more recently than that one. So I got to play Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, which took about 24 hours to download because the entire game was like 40 gigs.
Wait, 40 gigs? That's almost like Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yep, and it's a download only unless you live in Australia, New Zealand, or Europe. But it's pretty much a $20 expansion to the New Order, and it's standalone, so you don't need the New Order to play it. And it's really good. It's just as good as the New Order, and I think for $20 the price is like pretty decent. I managed to get like maybe 7 hours in for the main game, and there's a couple of extras aside from collectibles. You can do some challenge maps to like, you know, try and get your best score or whatever. I mean, it's not great, but it's something. It seems like it has a little more extra stuff than the New Order did. Because New Order just had single player and collectibles with nothing else, but Old Blood adds a little more. It plays just as well. It's great. If you like the New Order, I would definitely recommend it. And probably one of my cheapest PS4 games I've ever gotten. For $3.71, I got Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes.
That is the price you should have been paying.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I will say, the game looks great, and it actually plays great too. I'm fucking super garbage when it comes to games like this, but it feels great. Everything's really nice. It's
polished.
It is really different from like all the other ones, and it really shows. But it plays and looks so good. Lengthwise, honestly, because I paid so little for it, I thought the length was perfect. I really don't have much to say other than like people already know that the original price was pretty much really stupid for a game of like this length and stuff. But since I paid
for a demo
way under $5 for it, I'd say Well, I'm actually happy I own it. I mean, if I'm ever gonna play the Phantom Pain,
You'll have
which
the
I'm still
bonuses.
debating on because of the whole Konami shit, but at the same time, this is mainly Kojima's thing, and I wanted to maybe support him for that. At least I can prepare after playing Ground Zeroes, because it gives me an idea of how it's gonna feel.
Or what to expect.
Yeah, not everything, but the basics. But yeah, that's those were the 2 games I played more recently, so I'm all set.
All right, Wiz.
Okay, thank God, because I was trying to think of what games I was playing recently, but as usual, or as we're doing, I'll just name 2. On the 3DS, there's the Pokemon Rumble World that I've been occasionally playing quite a lot. It's kind of like Dynasty Warriors with Pokemon. It's very simplistic and kind of charming that way, although it is free, so I wouldn't really recommend buying it, but it's alright. It's a good time waster, and the whole collecting Pokemon things is kind of still fun, but if frustrating. Now, that's not as impressive as this other game that I played, and that is, I've spent, 50 hours playing Saints Row 2.
Oh.
Now that was much better spent. It was a lot more fun, even though I did scream a lot at the minigames, but overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I can see why people liked it. The customization was a lot of fun, and you can also see those customizations as I took screenshots and snapshots of it and put it on Facebook. So it was a lot of fun, you know, despite all the bad points about it. So I really, really enjoyed Saints Row 2, and I have Saints Row 3, but I'll have to see how that plays. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Alright, that brings me to, well, me. I only have one game, and it's one game that's I've spent several hours a day playing for like the past week or so. It's a game called Dex. It was a game that I originally backed on Kickstarter once upon a time. It's a 2D side-scrolling cyberpunk adventure style game where you can go around and like break into people's places, hack into their computers, steal information, money, battle various gangs and corporations. Because the entire thing of the game is that there's this massive network of corporations called the Complex, which is basically taking over every aspect of society and humanity. And I can't go any further into that without spoiling some key plot points.
This sounds very much like Shadowrun in a sense.
It does have kind of a Shadowrun vibe to it, although it plays very differently from Shadowrun. All combat happens real time. You can get implants that'll upgrade like your jump height, the strength of your physical attacks, the effectiveness of your aiming. There's an infrared thing you can get where you can switch it on and you'll see people through walls. There's a lot of interesting stuff you can do with it, and I was kind of surprised at the depth of it because it was created by this company called Dreadlocks, which is a company out in the Czech Republic. Their only game prior to this that I could find was this mobile Tetris but not Tetris kind of game.
Rune Legend?
I think that's what it's called. I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm actually looking up the games they made, so yeah, Rune Legend.
Yeah, so this was a huge
Change.
departure for what they did before. And overall, the game plays pretty well. I say pretty well because there were a couple of instances where some weird stuff happened. Like, when you hack into computers, it goes into this, like, top-down shooter kind of thing where you're progressing through this maze-like network and fighting off, like, viruses and trojans and built-in security systems and stuff like that. There was one time where I was fighting this mobile turret that embedded itself in a wall and I couldn't shoot it.
Sounds like that thing that happened in Mighty No. 9 in Zero's video where one of the bosses got stuck in the top right.
Yeah, and he couldn't shoot it. That is kind of similar to what happened, actually. Although it was completely in the wall, so there was nothing I could do.
Other than turn off the game and retry.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only major like gameplay thing that happened.
By the way, Dex was also on the Oh Yeah.
Yeah, it's also going to come on Wii U in a couple of months.
Oh, sounds appropriate.
But anyway, there was one major thing that I didn't like, which was once I got past a certain point in the game, I don't know if it was a glitch or a design choice, but I could not access the save menu. It's one of those games where, like, you can open up a save menu and save in, like, X amount of slots, and I was using that a lot to go back to certain story points, but after a certain point, I couldn't access that menu again, and I just had to reload from checkpoints, because it auto-saves every time you enter a new area. That was kind of annoying.
Seems like a glitch. Where did you end up in? Maybe it's a place where it's like, once you've gotten past into this area, you can't save, because it doesn't make sense.
It was near the end of the game when it happened, so it might have been a design choice.
This sounds like a design choice if it's at the end of the game, because it's like, well, what's the point in saving at that point? You're going to be done anyways.
Well, there are alternate endings for the game, which is why I wanted to go back and do that.
Well, maybe they wanted you to do that, like, you know how in multiple endings you can just save right before and just pick all the different endings and not have to play through the entire game again? Maybe they're trying to not let that happen, except it's not as successful.
Possibly. The rest was like a bunch of little presentation things that looked out of place. In the credits in particular, it gets to a point where it starts listing off the cast and it has portraits of the characters next to their voice actors. About halfway through, it desyncs, and the wrong names are on the wrong portraits, and it just looks awkward.
Well, maybe it's a glitch in the system. Like, you know, intentionally.
I don't think so, because as the credits kept going on, it looked like what they did was they had, like, chunks of names, and then they tried lining them up in the credits so that they would scroll properly. After a while, the names started overlapping on each other, and you couldn't read what was going on.
This sounds like a video editing mistake that new people playing with an editing software might run into when putting the credits.
Yeah, but overall, and just like an overall impression of the game, I liked what I played. I'm probably going to go back and play it again to go for some different endings, and also a different play style, because the game has stealth elements, and then it has like combat elements where you can either just go hand-to-hand or use firearms most of the time. I went for stealth hand-to-hand most of the time, so I'm going to go back and try it again with a more firearm-centric approach.
Oh, so how's the stealth? Because, you know, always trying to look for that good stealth in a game.
It's good in parts and then not so good in other parts. Like, for the longest time, I was using the walk command to try and sneak up behind people to do takedowns on them. But then I found out that you can just run up behind them, and they won't care.
Oh, silent foot running.
But you do have to take care to, like, make sure... Actually, I think that was an implant that I got, which made my footsteps not so loud. You have to make sure that you're observing, like, the patterns of where people are walking. And another thing I should mention is that you can hack people just, like, say you're walking through an area and you see a guard and then there's a security camera behind him. You can go into cyberspace where you're standing and hack into either the guard or the camera and do either psychic damage to that guard or completely disable the security camera. That was something I played around with a lot.
It's cool with all the options. You gotta give options, because then it makes the game more complex.
Yeah, so overall, Dex, liked it, going to go back to it again. Alright, well, that takes us to our discussion topic for the day, which I directly lifted from a blog post called "Are Actual Players Less Skilled Than 20 Years Ago?" This is a blog entry that's based around a small company that released an Android and Ouya game called Beaker, which is supposed to be like a bullet hell game where you control a bee and you're fighting off other insects. And I'm just going to read this entry to it when they talk about people who are good at shmup or similar hard-style video games. Initially, they released the game. The difficulty was supposed to be just right, not too easy, not too hard, like a standard shmup game from the 90s. And then he says
just
this.
Eventually gets a little harder.
Yeah, then he says this. Then we created a new normal mode. The previous normal was moved to hard mode. Then we created the easy mode. People were still dying really fast because he was looking at the metrics of when people were dying. So we added simple instructions. But nobody was reading them. We even got a video review where the guy was stuck playing wrong for a very long time. Instead of making the first level boring for everybody, we made 2 tutorial levels. But they became level 1 and level 2. Players still got killed too soon, and they still didn't read the instructions. We forced the instructions to cover the entire screen for 2 seconds for just the tutorial levels. That forced about 50% of people to read the instructions. There were still a lot of deaths, so they finally had to make normal mode easier and easy mode a lot easier.
Okay. Ouch. Please, wait, what was this game again? You got my attention. With
It's called
these people
Beaker.
were.
I'll link it in the chat later.
All right. So if you want to test your skills as a player, go check out Beaker.
Yeah, they also did add some harder difficulties for people who weren't bad at the game. But
This is going to be a very interesting topic, I'm just going to say.
I guess the general point we're getting to here is, are gamers better, worse, or about the same compared to what they used to be? Is it just that it's a different audience, or are different things being asked of people now? What are your thoughts?
Let's see. As a gamer that grew up in the 90s, I feel that back in the 90s, they didn't spoil you with games. They didn't make it easy. They gave you the Nintendo hard game, so that kind of helped build characters. It's kind of like life. If you live it easy and when something difficult actually comes by, you're not going to make it through. So old games, old school Nintendo, retro games, like, help you build you as a gamer. But games nowadays, they're like, you know how they're all like about the story and less of the game. The gameplay is just a segue into the story. So, and gamers nowadays are I feel are a lot more spoiled, and they also don't have the patience. Hence, you know, all the instruction skippings. Because even with the new games I play, like I'd still take a look at the instructions, or at least I give it a read, even if it's obvious. Like, say a first-person shooter, all of them control relatively the same, right? Like
For the most part.
Yeah, so with something like that, it's like, oh, I don't really need to read the instruction, but, you know, I still check it just in case it did something different. Like, for instance, in Singularity, there was this thing where you could equip TMD, a time manipulation device, equipment onto you. I missed that because I assumed it was automatic, but I didn't read the instruction clear enough, so I went through the entire game without knowing that I could equip these items that could have helped me, and I didn't know they weren't working until, like, the very last part of the game, and I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch, I could have had like so much TMD to use. So yeah, I would say gamers nowadays are not as good as gamers back then. Okay, because we had a lot more difficult games to play through than they did now. Not that there isn't, it's just it's not as often, it's not as a lot in the old day where, you know, they just tried to kill you and the only way to win was to just get better at the game. Nowadays, if a game gets difficult, guess what? Oh, easy mode. There we go. Either that or you just rage quit and, you know, play some other easier game for you. Within reason, of course.
It's kind of a debatable topic, really. But like Wiz said, like games back then were a lot harder than they are now. That's not to say that all games are dumbed down nowadays, but when I'm playing something that's 10 years old, I tend to have a lot more. Well, not 10 years old, but like older than that. I tend to have a lot more trouble or more of a struggle than I do with like a newer game, which I don't think it's really coincidental. I just think, you know, it's like as Wiz said already, games are more about the story. So, but there are still some challenges, and there are a lot of games out there that do like different difficulties for like another playthrough. So, in a sense, yeah, they got easier, but for some cases, let's just say BioShock Infinite, for example, you can pretty much switch like to a harder difficulty, and you even once you like beat the game for the first time, you get the hardest difficulty in the game unlocked. So there's options at least.
Yeah, that's true. You can switch up the difficulty to make it harder, but see, that's kind of like a choice you make. But games back then, they just forced you in. If you couldn't beat the game, you couldn't beat the game unless you tried. like for instance, Battletoads. There's no way to dumb down the difficulty unless you use like a Game Genie to like give you infinite lives and stuff. But other than that, you either had to be good at the game, or you had to be good at the game. There was no. Oh, is there an easy mode? No, you either get good at the game and beat it, or you just like get out, kind of the thing. And in today's game, it would be like Demon's Souls or Dark Souls and that stuff. That game, it doesn't dumb down the game for you. It forces you into this world where it will just kill you if you don't learn the game.
Or you could have some games that pull like a Streets of Rage where you play it on easy, well, you can't see the actual ending.
Oh, yeah, that was always an incentive too, because on one hand, it is kind of an annoying design, but then again, if you just wanted to see the story, you didn't really truly wanted to play the game. Not to say that it isn't an incentive, because some games like RPGs, they revolve around the story. Otherwise, the gameplay just makes no sense. Like, why are you going to this dungeon to fight this guy? Because he's a bad guy. We're just gonna do that. No, because the story said this bad guy did something, and we're sending you to go do it. So sometimes the story narrative is important, but it depends on the game.
All right, I somehow beat F-Zero GX's story mode back then. Well, I can't play it again anymore because for some reason it just lets me watch the cutscenes instead of actually play them.
Oh,
but
God.
even if I did go back to them, I don't know if I'd be able to beat them.
Well, see, that one is just completely unfair. Like, have you seen that post where on like that Something Awful forum post where
everyone knows about that.
That was the funniest thing I've ever read. Not only is it just sad and true.
The thing is, like, even back then, I wasn't I can't even remember what, like, say my gaming skill was back then. It's really hard to say. I mean, maybe I did get better or got worse. I can't tell, but I really think it depends on the demographic. Because, like, back then, there really wasn't a lot of hand-holding. Now there kind of is. So in some ways, I could say, yeah, people are less skilled because most of the time they get carried through. But there are rare examples of, like, newer stuff that pretty much cuts the bullshit. And you have to prove yourself and actually get better at the game. I will say, like, games like Monster Hunter don't really handhold at all. Like, you have to really get into it. You really have to understand how the monsters work and how the mechanics work. And if you don't, there is no way you're going to get anywhere farther in the game.
And you have to work together with people locally or online.
And the thing with the online stuff is all that stuff is optional. There's whole single-player stuff that pretty much revolves around it. Online, for the most part, increases monster health pools and stuff. Plus, actually has monsters you can't fight anywhere else.
Which was what happened in Monster Hunter Tri, which now that game is half its worth because you can't play those or fight those monsters online anymore.
Unless you get Ultimates for Wii U.
Yes, which I think most of us have it. And another thing was playing online, you got items that you couldn't get in single player. Although I don't think that's the case with Ultimate.
The best example of stuff you really can't get anymore, Monster Hunter PS2. Like that's been like dead for years, the online. So with that game, you really can't get all that stuff anymore unless you, like, I don't know, hack the game or something on PS2.
I think that's actually probably the only way, unless you made like those local servers.
I don't think there is any way to do to play online on that PS2 version anymore. The PSP games, you really don't have to worry about. You can play locally, or if you still have ad hoc party on like PlayStation 3, that's like the other way to do it. But anyways, it is pretty easy to say that older games are more difficult. They're either by design or they were intentionally made that way. They were obviously, most of them were made that way because of its short length and they didn't want people to beat it in a weekend. But it could also be by design. Like, the designers could have like made certain things hard on purpose, not just to extend length. Like, they want to actually like progressively challenge players as they go, or they could be bad and just have broken mechanics to make it hard.
Completely crippled, like an Echo the Dolphin. Everyone says that game is good, and I played through both games. I absolutely hated it for its design.
Blue Glass 2015 speedrun, let's go. Yeah, it's a really weird subject, and I honestly think it depends on person to person, because there could be people like our age right now or even older that are skilled at like a bunch of things. Like they could be more skilled at certain games compared to others, and I would argue speedrunners are like a good example of them still being good, because they've played so much, they've mastered stuff that it's pretty much embedded into their brain and muscles.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, like, yeah, it could also be depending on the game. Like, for instance, I'm not very good at fighting games. I admit that. But, you know, that doesn't mean the fighting games are bad, it's just not for me.
And some people, they're not exactly the most skilled RPG players. A lot of those games tend to be a little hard.
Or they don't have the patience for it because it's just too long and they don't get to the action
Yeah, that
for
too.
them.
That too.
And then also not everyone is into the FPS games, and a lot of us, well, when I say a lot of us, I meant like within our groups, aren't that much into the sports game. That has its own groups of people that do.
The
like
only exception for me for sports games is if it's, you know, like not really like real life sports. I don't really play
Wayne Gretzky's hockey.
Well, the thing with Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey is that it doesn't really base itself on realism. It's the concept of hockey, but it's arcade-like. Like, I would probably enjoy a game like, say, NFL Blitz. And
Oh, I love
here's,
NFL
like,
Blitz.
yeah, there's another game actually for PS4 coming soon. It's a soccer game, but it's called Rocket League. It's pretty much soccer, but you're in little buggies and stuff, and you're doing double jumps, dodges, and hops to like knock this giant ball into the enemy goal.
Yep, it looks really fun.
Rocket League is freaking great. I'm like in the second beta. I played the first one. It's great. Someone that I've actually started making friends with, he recommended the game to me when he mentioned he got into a beta, and I didn't know what the game was. I didn't know what Rocket League was. He told me about it. I signed up. I got in, and my God, oh, me and some of the other guys, when I told them, "Yo, download Rocket League, see if you can get in," we've just enjoyed it. I might actually buy it when it comes out.
See, those are... Yeah, they are technically sports games, but they're kind of like a different type of sports game. It's the one that's just based around a sport, but you do a whole bunch of other stuff.
I find that more interesting. Real sports you got Super Bowl and the fucking Vuvuzela soccer.
I think that's part of why way back when NBA Jam caught on.
Yeah, NBA Jam, just slam jam. That's all you do.
Yeah.
Double dribble. What was it? And
Jump
then you got
50
that...
feet in the air, you set the rim on fire.
Oh, that's funny.
Break the backboard.
And then you always got that thing. It's like, well, you could just go outside and play the sports for real.
Not everyone can do that.
I know, but still, I'm just saying.
That's yeah.
But then there are also those sports games, like say Kirby's Dream Course. Like that's a golf game.
That's a
but
golf
it's
game
fun.
that takes mechanics of like Kirby in terms of like powers and stuff, and pretty much builds itself around it. Like
yeah. The goal is to shoot a hole.
It's actually kind of a combination between golf and puzzle, because you need to like know how to progress through the course.
You know what
Yeah,
game?
that is true.
You know what game I had a lot of fun with?
What?
Super Mario Strikers.
Yeah, that's pretty much an arcade soccer game.
Yeah, it was crazy fun.
I mean, the only other exception, like, probably Wii Sports.
Yeah, it's not like these serious mechanics of it, and it lets you play the fun parts because it's also working with the motion controls.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the general idea, just in your living room and all that stuff.
Because it's motion controlled, you can do really crazy stuff. Like, I would bowl overhand.
I would bowl backwards just to...
I was gonna say, bowl backwards and scare the shit out of the crowd from that one review.
But anyways, I think we're getting off topic with that. But in terms of just skill level, it really depends on like the audience. Like, it's very possible young players, like if they're persistent at it, they'll eventually get good at it, and then it might deteriorate over the years, or it may not.
See, to the players that actually try and learn the game and play it, they're actually trying to learn, so their skills will eventually get up to some point. But the players who are just like, oh, you know, this is too hard, I give up, I'm not gonna try, or I'm gonna dumb it down and like to the point where it's like, it's so easy your mom can play it kind of thing. Like those are the ones that are not really
Yes. Yeah, it could. This type of thing can actually apply to many things just in real life. Like, you need to practice. You have to keep trying. If you really want to do it, you have to practice over and over. It can get tedious, but once you understand and get a better grasp of it, you can actually be pretty unstoppable.
Yeah, and when you learn the game, you might actually
because no one is good instantly, unless you're Jesus. But
or not all the time.
Not all the time. I mean, he doesn't know how to drive, so
he can't dive. But
wait, take the wheel, but I don't have a license. But yeah, I'm shit at fighting games. I used to play some, but not a bunch of them. But I used to play some like Soul Calibur. But I tried fighting games now, and I can't. I just get really mad, and I hate myself for getting mad. So that's why I always think I'm the shitty player, because I pretty much am. When in reality, I'm not just the shitty player. I'm the shitty player that has no idea what he's doing and hasn't really gotten his claws into the game.
Yeah, it's like when you play a game enough and you actually learn and understand the mechanics, you might actually appreciate the game a little more, like Battletoads. I was screaming at the last parts of the game, but I kind of eventually grew to appreciate it, even if it might be unfair, especially the first-timers.
The Souls games can also be represented like this as a more modern example, because they're really unforgiving, but you need to understand how the game feels, how the mechanics work, and how the fighting works, how to adjust and survive. And then once you get that, it'll still be challenging throughout, but you'll pretty much keep learning and understanding and how to really adapt to how the game works. That's pretty much how I got through the Souls games. I haven't gotten through Demon's Souls, the first one, because I lost interest. Because I played Dark Souls 1 and 2 and Bloodborne, but playing something like Demon's Souls,
that's gonna be a real
for being
burnout.
as old as it is compared to the other ones, is kind of hard because it's not as refined. It's similar, but it's not as refined, and it kind of lost my interest.
Well,
and it
I'll
really
say
had nothing
this.
to do with difficulty. I was actually doing pretty fine the times I was playing it, but I just kind of got bored.
Oh, I'll say this. To me, Demon's Souls is more of a game than Dark Souls. Dark Souls kind of had more of a fluid narrative than Demon's Souls, and I'm not saying Demon's Souls is perfect, but I would have preferred it more as a game over the later Souls series. But we're going on this topic for a long time, so I think we should.
Hey, I think going on this topic for a decent amount has been better than previous podcasts where we were on the discussion topic for 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I think this is actually fine.
Well, with that being said, discussion closed.
All right.
I wanted to say a final opinion. In my opinion, yeah, I think they're less skilled than players 20 years ago. In my opinion.
Okay.
My final thought, it's mainly I think it's mainly due to the gaming landscape changing. Age definitely does have a factor.
Enough of going through the 90s.
And let's move on to viewer questions. And we actually have one. This is from YouTube user Something Scary, who asked, "What is the most disappointing thing you've ever experienced in a video game?"
Can I answer this?
Go right ahead.
Master Chief not actually getting arrested in Halo 4. I'm sorry, that's a joke answer, but come on. That would have been the best ending, actually him getting arrested. Just arrest this man, arrest him, and then the credits roll. I would just be like, this is the best installment of Halo. Unintentionally. But for a real answer, I need time to think about this, because, I don't know right now. I gotta think.
Well, I know one that I can say right off the bat.
I also have one too, but I'll let you go first.
Oh, this is probably the moment that turned me off of officially licensed games. It's a game on the SNES called Roadrunner's Death Valley Rally.
Okay.
Out of 10. But
I played that too. I didn't beat it though.
Oh, I somehow beat it. I don't know why I put enough time into that game to beat it.
And patience.
This was way back when. My impressions might have been colored by the fact that this was at the time when you had to pay $60 for an SNES game, and I was at the point where I just had to save up my allowance until I got to buy a game. And for those of you who don't know what Roadrunner's Death Valley Rally is, and when they say disappointing thing you've ever experienced in a video game, I'm just counting this entire video game as the most disappointing thing. Because Roadrunner's Death Valley Rally is basically Sonic the Hedgehog, except the camera, you can't see as much in front of your character. Platforming is a huge pain in the ass because only like 20% of the Roadrunner can actually land on the platform, and it always looks like you're just falling through stuff when you should be able to land on it. It's damn near impossible to navigate around some of the later levels, and in the end, it is absolutely not worth it. Like, if you've watched enough Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote cartoons, you've seen the ending. There's nothing special about it that would make you say, I gotta play this game all the way through to the end.
Unless you've never watched the cartoon, which is kind of somewhat sad.
Yeah,
you don't still own the cartridge,
if you've never watched the Roadrunner cartoon, why would you buy the Roadrunner game?
That's very true. I don't know, maybe you thought it looked kind of fun. That actually happened a few times for me where I thought, judging a book by its cover thing happened.
That's another thing too, is the name Death Valley Rally gives you the impression that it's going to be a race. In fact, the design for the cover of it has a checkered flag on it. It's not a racing game, it's a platforming game.
You know, now that you mention it, what was that game where you played like the unicycle? It kind of felt like Roadrunner was going to be like that. Yeah, it felt like it was going to be something like that, where, yeah.
Now I want to go back and play Uniracers again. But anyway, that's my most disappointing thing.
Oh, I got one.
Alright, you go ahead.
When Final Fantasy XII was coming out, I was really hyped, and then I played the game. It was not a very good installment.
Oh, why is that?
Well, the gameplay was blah, and the story was just boring, and none of the characters really stood out to me, except for the pirate guy. So, yeah, 12, I don't know why I even wanted to play that in the first place.
Because it was a Final Fantasy sequel, and you just had to take a look to see how it turned out, because it might have been good, but nope, it did not turn out to be good.
Basically that, and the ones afterwards have been shit anyway, so I'm pretty much done with that series.
Yeah, when did it start, like, getting bad?
I think around 10-2. Like, all the ones after 10 have pretty much sucked.
I would argue 8, but okay.
Well, I liked 9.
I like 9 too, but 8, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 8 was pretty eh.
But then you compare it to the later ones, and it's just like, well, now you look worse than 8.
Yeah, I think I'd choose 8 over 13 any day.
Yeah, at least it felt like it was trying, and it was one of those games that was just like, oh, it's so cool and kind of thing at the time. At the very least, it had sort of something going for it, even if it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so it's my turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I think there are... No, not think. There are 2 games that I could think of to do, but I think I'll go with the one that started it all. Ultraman on Super Nintendo. Let's see. As a kid, and... Oh, as a very small young boy, Ultraman was the coolest show I've ever seen. Although looking back onto it, it is kind of cheesy. But it was there for my childhood when it was there, and it was really cool seeing giant monsters battling out. Like, tell me, what kid doesn't like that? I mean, there's also like Godzilla, Power Rangers, Megazord fights, like giant battles fighting evil monsters. It's sci-fi. It's so cool, and this was a time where I thought, like, if there was a TV show, there was gonna be a video game. So, one day I found the game and I was like, oh my god, there's Ultraman on Super Nintendo based on the TV show. I want it. And got it, and I broke. Top half of me fell over, broke into glass pieces. Turns out to be a fighting game, which I was terrible at. And what's worse, it was not a very good fighting game either. Like, cause I got stuck with Killer Instincts, and I got bits and pieces good at it, but Oh man, Ultraman on Super Nintendo, that was terrible. Like I was so broken there. Like, but it had everything. It had the music, it had the graphics, it had the monsters. Did not have the controller gameplay. I thought it was gonna play something like King of Monsters. That was what I was expecting. Nope, turned into a fighting game. And the worst part is, I really can't argue with the design choice. You're fighting monsters. You both have health bars, and you're fighting them. It should have worked out, but it didn't. It also had a bunch of stupid designs, which, in a future video, doing a revisit on that game, a proper revisit. So that was one of my most disappointing games in my life. And the other one, I'll just briefly say, is Resistance 2, because Resistance 1 is good, and I think Unreal can understand why. But yeah, that's it. Anything Unreal?
Oh my god. This is really hard. I have one that's not really I have one that's not really a game, like part of a video game, but it kind of related to it. But I mean, I have one idea that could be strictly game related, but I'll just get to that in a sec. Okay, everyone knows about Resident Evil 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a great
so
game.
back when it first came out, everyone was saying it was like amazing, and like when I saw previews, I thought, oh my god, this looks so good. When I was younger, so when Blockbuster was still around, after quite a few times of it having rented it out, like as in me being unable to rent it because someone else was, I finally got to rent Resident Evil 4. I was really excited, and then my GameCube stopped working. The day I got it, my GameCube stopped working. I think my GameCube stopped working because it probably got filled with so much dust for being, like, you know, on the carpet while being ran, because that's pretty much what we did with most of our consoles back then. And it just stopped working. Nothing I could do. No games would run. I was mad. Like, I was so excited to play Resident Evil 4. And just having my GameCube just completely stop working as soon as I get the chance, it sucked. The only way I was able to slightly play Resident Evil 4 was using the action replay thing. But even then, it was still iffy, and I couldn't do much of it. The most I could play was, like, say, the Mercenaries, with, like, everything unlocked and all that stuff. But I just had problems with the GameCube, and because of that, I didn't really get much time with RE4 back then, which really sucked. But I do have another one that this is gonna sound funny in retrospect. GoldenEye Rogue Agent. Back then, I rented this on the GameCube. I actually thought, like, from previews and stuff, like not actual gameplay previews, but like commercials and trailers, I thought the idea was really good. Like, holy shit, I'm playing as a Bond villain? Oh, man. And it actually looks fun, and it was an FPS, which FPS and Bond pretty much went together
like
so
bread
well
and butter.
with me. Like, that was, like, back then, I was more familiar with Bond FPSs, which is why, like, back then as a kid, when I saw Everything or Nothing, I kind of just like, oh, it's third person, lame. And I did rent that game as a kid, and that game blew my fucking mind. It made me shut up. And also one of the funniest Bond games, too. But
Was it the one with the driving?
there's driving in everyone.
Like the one where you jump out of the helicopter? Never mind. It sounds like every single
Yeah,
Bond
there's
game.
driving in almost every Bond game.
I was trying to refer to the one that, like, we played at Kineticon.
No,
or
you
something.
played fucking 007 Racing for the PlayStation.
Oh, was that the one?
Yes, that was the worst one.
Okay, never mind that.
But, anyways. See, GoldenEye Rogue Agent looked like something I would enjoy. Then I saw the X-Play review, and they gave it a 2 out of 5. I'm like, there's no way they could be bad. So I rented it on the GameCube. I have never been so fucking mad at something I've played before. Because when I got further and further in the game got more difficult. I mean, yeah, what difficulty curve? My kid mind didn't understand that. But it's the bad difficulty curve. The AI never improved, their damage output improved, and in the last level, they have weapons that can one-hit kill you.
Even on normal.
Even on easy. even on easy, which I played on it, I was just like, I think the more I played Rogue Agent, the more disappointment I felt, and the more hatred that solidified with it.
Almost becoming a Rogue Agent yourself.
I mean, I own the game on Xbox now, kind of as an ironic fuck you. But I paid almost nothing for that, so I don't really care. And even replaying it years later, I mean, I've gotten better, especially at the harder levels, but the game never improved. So, I mean, I could have copped out and stuck with my Master Chief answer, or just said beating F-Zero GX story mode was not worth it.
Oh,
but
you should have went with that one. I would have liked to hear that.
But that would have been me lying, because when I was younger and finally beat story mode, it was the most satisfying thing. Beating Chapter 6 was satisfying. The one with the bomb in your back? Like, beating any chapter that made you want to yell out your window and go, I fucking did it! Yeah!
You know, it makes me wonder, like, I think I'm glad I didn't get GX.
And then there was more difficulties than normal, you fucking kid.
Yeah, back then I could have gotten GX, but I'm like, after hearing all the stories about it, I'm kind of glad I
GX
didn't.
is one of the best fucking GameCube games you could ever get. It may be one of the. It may have ruined my fucking life, but it is one of the best goddamn GameCube games ever. And this is off topic, but Kineticon 2007, they had F-Zero GX playable in the game room. They never brought it back. I'm sad. But anyways, yeah, most disappointing thing was honestly Rogue Agent. That's the best I could think of a cohesive answer.
All right. Well, if anyone else has questions that they want us to answer on this podcast, you can comment on the site upload, you can comment on the YouTube upload, or you can send us a private message, or you can message us on Facebook about it, facebook.com/RiverCityGamers. But for now, let's get into our video updates, and starting with Wiz.
Oh, it's funny because I didn't really have that much going. I don't know, it's probably the weather. But, let's see. Last video I did currently was, Sunday Showcase for Battletoads. If you haven't seen that, that's gonna be that's the, final Sunday Showcase, because not too many people are watching it, and if no one's really watching it, I'm gonna go focus my efforts on some other stuff. I mean, I did enjoy it, but I also don't really want to waste my time, so if people eventually want to see it back, I'll bring it back, because there are some fun moments during that. Let's see, video project wise, I didn't do a whole lot last month, although I did get a review donation, or a game that was donated to me, a review for it, Singularity review. If you haven't seen that, check that out. It was pretty nice. Before this podcast started, I was actually recording footage for the next quickie, because I wanted to get it out of the way, because for a couple of weeks I just did not want to do this next game because it's a fighting game. And I was talking with SCR a little bit about it, Eternal Champions, and just that's what I'm working on. I've done everything, and I pretty much got all the footage while I was waiting for the podcast, because I didn't get anywhere in the game. So yeah, that's going to be what's happening, and maybe a video about talking about Anime North, and as usual, the end of the month vlog talking about the videos I have or have not done, and what I got.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go next. Once again, most of my major work is going on the final part of the Bloody Roar retrospective on Bloody Roar 4. Still scripting that, and I'm still trying to work out a little something special with one or two local guys here to put on something a little unique for the video. But I'm not going to go into any specifics about that. I'm still looking for possibly early mid-June. Might have to push it back to late June if certain things don't fall into place, but we'll see. I also still have the Battle Tanks playthrough I'm working for, and something kind of impromptu that came up recently is I'm doing a video about a demo for a game that's currently on Kickstarter and could use a little help getting towards its final goal, so I'll probably do an impromptu video on that, which hopefully will be out before this podcast goes up. But that's pretty much it for me, so Unreal?
Okay, I have no idea where I'm going to be going with the Order 1886 review thing I wanted to do. I still want to do it, but I can't promise anything right now in terms of that. One thing I kind of want to do, though, after Anime North is possibly work on every single con video I have not been able to put together, including maybe Anime North 2015. Because I was like, before I filmed my whole Anime North promo, which I uploaded recently, I looked through like my Kineticon 2014 footage. I'm like, maybe I should put some con videos together. Yeah, do something.
Yeah, I understand that feeling.
Speaking of which, it just reminds me how fucking lackluster the Kineticon 2014 shit was. Oh my god.
Huh. Didn't help that we didn't go that year.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that, oh my god, if I do go this year, oh man, $75 at the door.
Ouch.
Oh my god. I really don't have anything right now. It's just, if I'm lucky, Zero might actually take a look at what's going on with my Sony Vegas thing, if it's crashing when I bring it to Anime North. It's because he wants to look at it, and I just don't know why it crashes sometimes at certain things and doesn't for others.
Well,
because that is one of the reasons why I kind of just haven't worked on anything. Because if I do, it'll just get to the point where, just like when I did that whole Destiny beta video, just getting to the point where doing anything in the editing crashed my entire project. Just got so taxing that it's really discouraging.
Demotivating. I might be able to help a little bit with that too, because I forgot to mention this one very, very critical thing that I forgot. If you guys don't know, I had a recent thing with my computer where I lost everything on it. It got completely formatted because I was trying to add another hard drive to my computer without formatting it, because it had a Windows 7 OS on it that I thought would work okay. Turns out it was a bad idea, crashed my main hard drive, and then just everything was wiped.
Yeah,
you do not believe how demotivated I got. I had all my review material for the next video gone. I backed up most of it, just not that one.
You think that's bad? One of my friends not too long ago, probably like maybe a week ago, had his entire $1,000 laptop fried because one of his stupid friends spilt a drink on it. Apparently just a little bit, but enough to have freaking water leak out of the laptop. Or Arizona tea. But anyways, I really have nothing else in terms of update. I'm pretty much on the back burner right now. There's stuff I do want to do. I can't promise if I'm actually going to do it. And I know Zero's going to say, what the fuck, why? Just fucking do a video. I'm like,
he's probably gonna be like, you won't be able to do this unless you make this video happen.
What? Get fired? I'm already fired.
You can't fire me. I quit.
Whoa.
So, Nightman, what are your plans?
Well, I'm actually working on I'm reviewing the first Jak and Daxter game. I'm planning doing the entire trilogy for a separate video. Well, not. For each video is one of the games in the trilogy. I'm not doing any of the spin-offs. I'm just doing the main 3 games. And other than that, I'm gonna be doing a joint review with with another River City gamer. So look forward to that one. I'm gonna keep that one under wraps.
At least for the audience here.
Yeah, at least for the audience. But other than that, I'm pretty much good.
All right. Well, I guess this is the time to let everybody know that a number of us are going to be attending Anime North, which is, well, at the time of the podcast that this will go up, next week.
Yes, today is Friday the 15th, May 2015, and next week, 7 days later, is Anime North officially 22.
And Nightman's not gonna go.
Sad.
Let's see.
Now there are other people from Texas on this website. Sad.
They did last year, but not this year.
Wiz,
Yeah.
me, Unreal, CJ, Zero are going to be there.
And that's it. Out of us, at least.
In terms of members, anyways.
Yeah. Oh, man. I can't wait. I just have to get through a total of 3 days of work before the trip.
And that brings us to the end of this podcast. Once again, I'm SCXCR.
I'm Unreal.
I'm Whisper100.
And I'm Nightman.
And I'm gonna look up the U.S.-Canadian exchange rate real quick.
And I'm gonna advertise Anime Northmore. You be there. You be there. You be there. You be there. You be
Guys on
there.
floor.
You be there.
And I'll probably attend San Japan.